If you're over 60, please, I am begging you, stop what you're doing and listen very carefully. You've spent a lifetime trying to do the right thing, choosing milk over soda, cutting back on processed snacks, staying away from fried foods, and reaching for what you were told was healthy. For generations, milk has been seen as a symbol of strength, of nourishment, a daily habit that builds bones and supports life. But what if I told you that some of the very milk sitting in your fridge right now, milks you believe are protecting your heart, may actually be silently damaging it? This isn't hype. This is medical reality. As we age, the body changes. Your heart, your kidneys, your metabolism, they don't work like they did when you were 40. And the milks that once served your body well may now be contributing to high blood pressure, cholesterol problems, inflammation, and even heart failure. You may think your morning milk is harmless, but it could be quietly raising your risk of a heart attack, stroke, or hospitalization, and you'd never even know. In this video, I'll walk you through the 9 types of milk you must avoid if you care about protecting your heart, your independence, and your future. Please, for your health and your life, stay with me. What you learn in the next few minutes may be the most important lesson you hear this year. Before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you hit that button and turn on the bell so you never miss another health tip made just for you. If you enjoy this video, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 to let me know how I can make better content for you. 1. Fat-free milk, the healthy choice that quietly starves and stresses your aging heart. You've seen it on every grocery shelf, heard it in every health talk for decades. Fat-free is better. For many older adults, reaching for fat-free milk feels like a responsible, heart-smart choice. You believe you're doing something good for your body, cutting calories, avoiding fat, staying lean. But what if I told you that very habit, the fat-free milk in your morning cereal or coffee, might be slowly weakening the very organ you're trying to protect? The truth is, as we age, our nutritional needs don't shrink. They change. Your heart, after 60, no longer thrives on restriction. It needs precision, not deprivation. Fat-free milk strips away more than just creaminess. It removes essential fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K that your body can't absorb without fat. And without those nutrients, your blood vessels, immune system, and most critically, your cardiovascular repair mechanisms suffer quietly. But the damage doesn't stop there. To make up for the lack of fat, many fat-free milk brands add sugars, stabilizers, and thickeners, all of which wreak havoc on an aging metabolism. For a 35-year-old body, that sugar surge may be buffered quickly, but at 70 or 80, that morning cup becomes an unrecognized spike in insulin, driving up inflammation, exhausting your pancreas, and silently contributing to arterial stiffness, the early road to high blood pressure, atrial fibrillation, and even congestive heart failure. Let me tell you about Mrs. Margaret Ellison, one of my longtime patients from Pennsylvania. She's 75, a retired school teacher, independent, walks every morning, and hasn't touched red meat in years. She came into my clinic complaining of frequent fatigue by mid-morning and increasing blood pressure, despite following every rule. She said, "Doctor, I don't eat junk. I have oatmeal with skim milk every day. I thought I was doing everything right." But when we looked deeper, we discovered her fat-free milk had over 12 grams of sugar per serving, no fat, no real nutrient absorption, and it was starting her day with a blood sugar roller coaster that her 75-year-old body couldn't manage. Her vitamin D levels were deficient, her inflammation markers were high, her arteries were losing flexibility, all from a food marketed as healthy. Once she switched to low-fat milk, 1–2%, and added a few almonds to her oatmeal, her energy began to stabilize, her blood pressure improved, and her morning brain fog lifted. She told me a month later, I was feeding my fears, not my heart. This is what no one tells seniors. Fat-free doesn't mean heart-safe. It often means nutrient-poor, sugar-heavy, and metabolically stressful. Your body after 60 needs healthy fats to absorb nutrients, to keep blood sugar steady, and to nourish the cells that repair your arteries. So next time you see fat-free on the label, I urge you, pause. Ask yourself, am I feeding my body the nutrients it needs, or am I chasing an outdated idea of health? Because if fat-free milk can quietly starve your heart of the vitamins it needs to function, what happens when the milk you're drinking isn't just missing nutrients, but hiding added sugars and artificial flavors behind a sweet, nostalgic taste? Let's talk about that next, and why flavored milk might be the most deceptive danger sitting in your fridge right now. If you're still watching and finding these insights helpful, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're with me. Now let's move on to point number 2. 2. Flavored milk, the sweet, comforting drink that's secretly spiking your heart into overdrive. To many seniors, flavored milk feels like a harmless treat. A little chocolate milk with breakfast or a cold glass of strawberry milk as an afternoon pick-me-up. It brings back memories of childhood, family, warmth. It doesn't feel dangerous. In fact, it feels familiar, comforting, even innocent. But I must tell you this, as a heart doctor who has spent more than 3 decades caring for older adults, flavored milk is one of the most deceptive threats to your heart health after 60. What makes it dangerous is not just what it contains, but what it disguises. Most flavored milks, whether chocolate, strawberry, vanilla, or even protein-enhanced versions, are loaded with added sugars, artificial flavorings, and syrups. Just one 8-ounce serving of chocolate milk can carry 24 grams of sugar. That's the same as 6 teaspoons, nearly the same amount found in a can of soda. But because it's milk, we think it's healthier. That's the trap. After the age of 60, your body doesn't handle sugar the way it used to. Your insulin response is slower, your blood vessels are more fragile, and your heart is less tolerant to sudden shifts in blood sugar and pressure. When you drink flavored milk, especially on an empty stomach, you're flooding your system with rapidly absorbed sugars that spike your blood sugar, overwork your pancreas, and kickstart a cascade of inflammation inside your arteries. Your heart feels that surge, and it doesn't always respond quietly. I remember clearly one of my patients, Mr. Leonard Mayfield, a 78-year-old retired firefighter from Missouri, strong-willed, proud, and careful about his health. He came to me with episodes of pounding heartbeat, lightheadedness in the mornings, and occasional blurred vision. His blood work didn't immediately raise red flags, and his medications were all in order. But when I asked him about his breakfast routine, he smiled and said, "Every day, doc, 2 slices of toast and a big glass of chocolate milk. That's my comfort. I gave up whiskey. I kept the milk." What Leonard didn't realize was that his chocolate milk contained over 25 grams of sugar, along with cocoa flavorings and stabilizers that triggered sugar spikes and crashes every single morning. His fasting insulin was elevated, his triglycerides were creeping up, and his heart rhythm, monitored over 24 hours, showed premature atrial contractions, early beats that signal electrical stress on the heart. That comforting glass of milk was quietly acting like a sugar bomb. When we removed the flavored milk and replaced it with plain low-fat milk and a sprinkle of cinnamon in his coffee for flavor, his symptoms began to disappear. Within 3 weeks, his heart rate stabilized and his morning dizziness was gone. "I thought I was treating myself," he told me, "but I was putting stress on my heart before I even finished breakfast." You see, sugar doesn't care where it comes from. Whether it's a candy bar or a sweetened milk carton, your body treats it the same, as a source of inflammation, insulin demand, and arterial strain. For aging hearts, this kind of hidden sugar can be more dangerous than a heavy meal because it feels safe, and so we let our guard down. This is why I beg you to check the labels of the milk in your refrigerator. If it says chocolate, strawberry, vanilla, or even protein shake, read the sugar content. If it's more than 5 grams per serving, put it back. Your heart deserves better. Don't sacrifice your rhythm and blood pressure for 5 seconds of sweetness. And here's the hardest truth: flavored milk doesn't just raise your sugar, it blunts your hunger cues, crashes your energy later in the day, and silently makes your medications work less effectively. If you're already on blood pressure pills or diabetes meds, flavored milk could be undermining their effect every morning without you even realizing it. But if you think flavored milk is bad, what if the milk you're using every day doesn't contain sugar at all? Yet it's secretly filled with chemicals and artificial additives that irritate your gut, raise inflammation, and interfere with how your heart absorbs medication. The next milk we need to talk about is one many people think is safe because it's labeled unsweetened. But what's hidden inside might shock you. 3. Sweetened condensed milk, the tiny spoonful that's quietly overloading your heart. For many seniors, sweetened condensed milk doesn't even feel like milk. It's just a little something added to coffee, drizzled on oatmeal, or used in a cherished family dessert. It reminds us of Sunday breakfasts, grandchildren's birthdays, and simpler times. That creamy sweetness feels small, innocent, almost too little to matter. But I'm here to tell you that tiny spoonful might be silently wreaking havoc on your aging heart. Sweetened condensed milk is one of the most concentrated forms of sugar and saturated fat you can consume, and most people don't realize just how intense it really is. In just 2 tablespoons, it delivers over 20 grams of sugar, equal to 5 teaspoons, and a dose of saturated fat that can disrupt your cholesterol balance before you've even finished your first cup of coffee. That might be manageable at 30, but after 60, the body doesn't bounce back the same way. Let's talk science. When you consume sweetened condensed milk, even in small amounts, the rapid influx of simple sugars causes a sharp spike in your blood glucose, followed by a surge in insulin. If you're already insulin resistant, pre-diabetic, or managing type 2 diabetes, which many older adults are, that spike creates oxidative stress in the blood vessels. It leads to endothelial dysfunction, a fancy term for when the inner lining of your arteries starts to stiffen, inflame, and lose its ability to regulate pressure and flow. Over time, this sets the stage for atherosclerosis, arrhythmias, and in some cases, silent heart failure. But it's not just the sugar, it's what's missing too. Sweetened condensed milk has zero fiber, almost no protein, and no nutrients to slow down absorption or support metabolic function. What you're left with is a dense syrup that shocks your system and forces your heart to adapt in unhealthy ways, especially when taken on an empty stomach. I'll never forget Mr. Anthony Rivera, a 74-year-old retired electrician from New Mexico. He came into my clinic with symptoms that are sadly far too common: a fluttering heartbeat, low energy in the mornings, and swelling in his ankles. His EKG showed mild atrial fibrillation, his blood pressure was erratic, and his A1C, a measure of long-term blood sugar, had crept into diabetic range, despite him claiming, "Doc, I hardly eat sweets anymore." And he wasn't lying. But when we dug deeper into his habits, I found it. "Just a splash of condensed milk in my morning coffee. That's all I need to start my day," he said. But it wasn't just a splash. It was 2 spoonfuls every morning, over 700 added calories a week of pure sugar and fat, taken at the exact moment his heart and brain needed balance and nourishment. The result? A daily metabolic ambush, triggering inflammation that his 74-year-old arteries couldn't recover from. We replaced it with a homemade blend, just plain low fat milk with a pinch of cinnamon and a drop of vanilla extract. Within a month, his morning palpitations were gone. His ankles stopped swelling. He told me, I didn't think something so small could do so much harm. I thought it was better than cream and sugar. I thought I was being good. That's the heartbreak of it. Seeing so many seniors are trying to do the right thing, but the food industry has trained us to overlook the hidden dangers in small comforts. Sweetened condensed milk is not a food. It's a hyper processed substance designed to hit your brain with pleasure and your heart with pressure. If you're using it, even just a spoonful a day, I urge you to think again. Your heart can't tell the difference between a treat and a threat. All it knows is stress, sugar, and inflammation. And here's the scary part. If condensed milk can do this much damage from a coffee cup, what about those seemingly natural plant based milks that claim to be healthy but are filled with artificial gums, thickeners, and hidden chemicals that your older gut and heart can no longer tolerate? In the next section, I'll tell you the truth about some of the most popular unsweetened milks on the shelf and why your gut might be the first warning sign that your heart is in trouble. If you're still watching and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're here. Now let's keep going with point number 4. 4. Canned coconut milk, the natural milk that's quietly clogging your arteries. It's easy to believe that anything natural must be good for you. And coconut milk, with its rich tropical flavor and creamy texture, has earned a place in many American kitchens, especially among seniors trying to avoid dairy. For older adults looking for something clean, plant based, and lactose free, canned coconut milk often feels like the perfect alternative. But here's the truth that most food labels and even well meaning nutrition articles won't tell you: that can of coconut milk may be silently damaging your heart, one spoonful at a time. You see, unlike refrigerated coconut beverages that are watered down, canned coconut milk is extremely concentrated, often containing upwards of 16 grams of saturated fat per half cup. That's nearly 80% of the daily limit recommended for a healthy adult. And while that might not sound alarming at first glance, the consequences for someone over 60, especially with a history of high blood pressure, elevated cholesterol, or mild heart disease, can be far more serious than most people realize. Saturated fat in large amounts increases low density lipoprotein, or LDL cholesterol, the type that builds plaque in your arteries. This plaque doesn't just sit there, it narrows your blood vessels, increases blood pressure, and over time puts your heart at risk for serious events like heart attack or stroke. And unlike butter or red meat, which seniors are now warned about, coconut milk often flies under the radar because it's plant based. But plant based does not mean heart safe. And here's where it gets more dangerous. Most canned coconut milks also contain emulsifiers and stabilizers like guar gum or xanthan gum. While they help maintain that smooth texture, these additives can irritate the aging digestive system, lead to bloating, and cause malabsorption of essential nutrients, nutrients that your heart, especially in your later years, desperately needs. I remember clearly one of my patients, Mrs. Jeanette Calloway, an 81-year-old widow from North Carolina. She came into my clinic complaining of persistent bloating, chest tightness after meals, and a general sense of heaviness she couldn't explain. She prided herself on eating clean, no processed snacks, no soda, no fried foods. She had replaced her morning dairy with what she called her gut-friendly smoothie: spinach, banana, flaxseed, and a splash of canned coconut milk. It keeps me regular, she said, and it tastes better than almond milk. But what Jeanette didn't know was that her daily coconut milk, just a third of a cup, was giving her 12 grams of saturated fat, zero fiber, and chemical stabilizers her digestive system was struggling to process. Her lipid panel showed elevated LDL cholesterol and rising triglycerides. A coronary calcium scan revealed early signs of arterial plaque. What she thought was a gentle, natural choice was actually slowly hardening her arteries and increasing the workload on her heart every single day. Once we switched her to a lighter, unsweetened almond milk with no emulsifiers and added a teaspoon of olive oil into her meals for healthy fat, everything changed. Within 6 weeks, her bloating subsided, her LDL came down, and her energy returned. She told me, "I thought I was avoiding danger. I didn't know I was drinking it." And that's the problem. The danger doesn't come with a warning label. It comes quietly through a daily habit that feels healthy until it's not. Coconut milk might be natural, but so is cholesterol buildup. So is heart failure. And when you're in your 60s, 70s, or 80s, the line between nourishment and harm becomes razor thin. If you're using canned coconut milk regularly, in coffee, smoothies, or cooking, I urge you to reconsider. Your heart might not feel the stress today, but it's being forced to work harder with every sip. Don't confuse creamy with clean. Don't confuse plant-based with heart-safe. Because if the milk in your pantry is clogging your arteries without your knowledge, imagine what happens when the no sugar milk you trust is hiding chemicals that inflame your gut, disrupt your rhythm, and quietly compete with the very medications keeping you alive. In the next section, we'll uncover the truth behind unsweetened milks filled with artificial thickeners and gums, and why your stomach issues might be your heart's first cry for help. 5. Unsweetened almond and oat milks. The hidden gums and chemicals that confuse your gut and stress your heart. It sounds like the safest choice, doesn't it? Unsweetened almond milk. No added sugar, oat milk. These plant-based alternatives line the shelves of every American grocery store, marketed with words like clean, natural, and heart healthy. And for many seniors trying to reduce dairy, lower their sugar, or manage their weight, they seem like the perfect substitute. But I'm here to warn you, those unsweetened milks might be doing more harm than good, not because of what they leave out, but because of what they hide. Let's take a closer look. While these drinks may not contain added sugars, they often contain chemical additives that your aging body can no longer tolerate well. Most almond, oat, and other plant milks contain emulsifiers and thickeners like carrageenan, gellan gum, gar gum, or xanthan gum. These substances are added to give the milk a creamy texture and prevent separation, but they're not natural for your gut, especially as you age. Your digestive tract becomes more sensitive with time. As stomach acid decreases and gut flora changes, it becomes harder for your body to handle synthetic ingredients. These gums and stabilizers can disrupt the delicate balance of bacteria in your gut, leading to bloating, gas, indigestion, and inflammation. But the real danger goes beyond the belly. Gut inflammation increases systemic inflammation. And chronic inflammation is one of the root causes of arterial damage, high blood pressure, and heart rhythm disorders. I remember Mr. Harold Kinsey, a 76-year-old former postal worker from Utah, who came into my office complaining of bloating, fatigue, and mild chest pressure after meals. He was proud of his health choices. No red meat, no sugary cereals, and he'd switched to oat milk in his coffee and cereal to keep his heart young. But when I reviewed his symptoms, medications, and labs, something didn't add up. His CRP, a marker of inflammation, was elevated. His blood pressure was fluctuating oddly. He had no history of cardiac disease, yet he was feeling pressure after eating. When I asked about his oat milk, he said, "Doc, it's unsweetened. Just oats and water, right?" But the label told a different story. Gellan gum, rapeseed oil, synthetic vitamin fortifiers, and emulsifiers I wouldn't recommend to any patient over 65. We removed the oat milk entirely, replaced it with a simple homemade blend of water and soaked almonds, and worked on restoring his gut balance. Within 3 weeks, his post-meal symptoms were gone. At his next appointment, Harold looked at me and said something I'll never forget. "I thought I was drinking health. I didn't know I was swallowing a science experiment." This is the hidden truth. Unsweetened doesn't mean safe. It just means one ingredient, sugar, isn't there. But what about the dozens of other processed substances that are? For seniors, your liver processes medication slower, your gut reacts to chemicals faster, and your heart doesn't tolerate inflammation well. So while your morning oat milk may feel smooth going down, your arteries could be fighting a battle you never see. Don't be fooled by clean packaging or health buzzwords. Always read the label. And if you can't pronounce an ingredient, your gut probably can't process it well either. But if the milk you're drinking is inflaming your gut and confusing your metabolism, what about the milk that's designed to give you energy? The protein milks marketed to seniors as strength boosters. In the next section, I'll show you how those high-protein dairy drinks could be quietly overworking your kidneys, dehydrating your body, and pushing your heart into dangerous territory, all while claiming to keep you strong. 6. High-protein dairy milks, the strength drinks that are quietly straining your heart and kidneys. We've all heard it. As you age, you need more protein to keep your muscles strong. And it's true, to a point, but many older adults are now reaching for high-protein dairy drinks, thinking they're doing something right for their bodies. You've seen them on store shelves and in ads targeted directly at seniors. Bold promises of heart-healthy strength, extra energy, and muscle support. Sounds like a smart move, but if you're not careful, that daily boost might be quietly draining your kidneys, overloading your heart, and pushing your body into a state of chronic stress. These drinks are often concentrated sources of protein, ranging from 20 to 30 grams per serving. That may seem harmless, even helpful, until you realize that for seniors, especially those with reduced kidney function, diabetes, or heart disease, excess protein can backfire. After age 60, your kidneys begin to lose efficiency. They filter slower. They struggle to process waste from protein metabolism. And when too much protein floods your system, especially animal-based whey or casein proteins found in many of these drinks, your kidneys are forced to work overtime. The byproducts? Nitrogen, urea, and acids that build up in the blood, stressing not just your kidneys, but your electrolyte balance and heart rhythm. This isn't just theory. I've seen it firsthand. One of my longtime patients, Mr. Leonard Pierce, an 80-year-old retired firefighter from Ohio, came to my clinic after weeks of fatigue, irregular heartbeats, and trouble sleeping. He wasn't eating poorly. In fact, he had started a morning routine of nutrition shakes based on a TV commercial. It said, "Power for seniors, doc," he told me. I figured at my age I could use a little extra strength. But his blood work showed something else. His BUN and creatinine were elevated, clear markers of kidney strain. He had signs of early dehydration. His heart was being forced to compensate for imbalances in calcium, potassium, and fluid retention caused by his overwhelmed filtration system. The culprit? One high-protein milk drink every morning and another in the afternoon. No water, no fiber, just pure protein and chemicals his 80-year-old organs couldn't keep up with. We immediately scaled back his intake, rehydrated his system, and introduced a safer, whole food protein plan. Boiled eggs, Greek yogurt in moderation, legumes. Within a month, his energy came back. His arrhythmia calmed. At his follow-up, he told me, "I thought I was helping my body. I didn't know I was drowning it." This is the danger. Protein is essential, yes, but not in excess, not without balance, and not without medical oversight. When you overwhelm an aging body with more than it needs, The systems that once buffered those choices, your kidneys, liver, and heart, no longer compensate the same way. And when those systems fall behind, you don't feel it right away. But one day it's fatigue, then it's skipped beats, then it's shortness of breath walking across the room. These drinks are not magic. They're engineered, highly processed, and often loaded with artificial sweeteners, gums, or sodium that push your heart and kidneys harder than nature ever intended. Don't be fooled by promises of strength if the price is silent strain. So before you reach for that protein shake tomorrow morning, ask yourself, is my heart strong enough to handle it? Are my kidneys still able to process it? Or am I slowly building a problem I won't see until it's too late? Because if protein overload can do this, what happens when the calcium-rich milk you're drinking every day to protect your bones is actually contributing to arterial calcification, stiffness, and even increasing your risk of a heart attack? That's what we'll uncover next. And it's something every senior drinking milk for bone health deserves to know. If you're still watching and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're here. Now let's keep going with point number 7. 7. Calcium-fortified milks, the silent culprit behind arterial stiffness and heart calcification. For decades, seniors have been told the same story. Drink your milk, it's good for your bones. And in an aging America, where falls and fractures haunt the minds of so many older adults, calcium-fortified milk feels like a trusted ally. You see the words on the label: bone strength, added calcium and vitamin D, heart healthy. But what if I told you that the very thing you're drinking to protect your bones may actually be hardening your arteries and silently setting the stage for a heart attack? You see, calcium is essential, but it must go to the right places. After age 60, the way your body handles calcium changes dramatically. Your hormonal balance shifts, especially in postmenopausal women. Your vitamin K2 levels decline, which plays a crucial role in directing calcium into bones and away from arteries. In many fortified milks, especially ultra-pasteurized shelf-stable versions, provide high doses of calcium without the cofactors needed to ensure it's safely absorbed and utilized. That calcium, it doesn't always go to your bones. It may deposit into the lining of your blood vessels instead. This process is called vascular calcification, and it's one of the key drivers of arterial stiffness, reduced circulation, and elevated blood pressure. Over time, this leads to increased workload on the heart, less oxygen to the brain, and a higher risk of both stroke and cardiac arrest. The irony? You're doing everything right. You're drinking milk, following the labels, and yet your heart is becoming more rigid with every sip. Let me tell you about Mrs. Elaine Summers, a 73-year-old retired teacher from Illinois. She came to me complaining of chest tightness when walking up the stairs. Her stress test showed mild ischemia, reduced blood flow to the heart muscle. She didn't smoke. She didn't eat fast food. She walked daily and had never missed a dose of her medications. "I don't understand, doctor," she told me. "I've been drinking 2 glasses of fortified milk every day. I thought I was doing it for my bones." But her labs painted a different picture. Her calcium levels were borderline high. Her vitamin D was adequate, but her vitamin K2, the nutrient that prevents calcium from depositing into arteries, was nearly undetectable. A coronary CT scan confirmed what we feared: early-stage arterial calcification. Her heart wasn't just aging, it was hardening. We immediately reduced her calcium-fortified milk intake, increased her dietary K2 through natural sources like leafy greens and fermented foods, and prescribed a balanced supplement regimen under careful monitoring. Within months, her symptoms eased, her blood flow improved, and her heart, thankfully, had not progressed to severe damage. This is what no label tells you. More calcium does not mean stronger bones. especially not when it's isolated from its supporting nutrients, dumped into the bloodstream, and left to find its way blindly through an aging body. Without proper balance, your arteries become the bones and your heart pays the price. So the next time you reach for that calcium-fortified milk, ask yourself, is this truly helping me? Or could it be coating the very blood vessels that keep me alive? And if calcium can turn against your heart so silently, what about the popular flavored milks, chocolate, vanilla, strawberry, that flood your system with sugar and artificial flavors, all under the illusion of comfort? In the next section, I'll show you how these sweet milks may be accelerating inflammation, spiking your blood pressure, and feeding the very diseases you're trying to escape. Stay with me. The truth behind these childhood favorites may shock you. 8. Flavored milks, the sugary triggers, quietly fueling inflammation and heart disease. They remind us of childhood, the comforting taste of chocolate milk, the sweet sip of strawberry after a sandwich, the vanilla-flavored milk that makes breakfast feel a little more special. For many older Americans, flavored milks seem harmless, even nostalgic. After all, it's just milk with a bit of flavor, right? But if you're over 60, diabetic, hypertensive, or on heart medication, I need you to hear this. These flavored milks are not a treat anymore. They are a trap. What most seniors don't realize is that these drinks are often loaded with sugar, as much as 20-30 grams per cup, equivalent to drinking a can of soda. And that sugar isn't buffered by the fiber found in whole fruits. It rushes straight into your bloodstream, spiking your blood glucose, overstimulating insulin production, and triggering a dangerous hormonal response that your aging body can no longer handle with ease. But sugar alone isn't the only concern. Most flavored milks also contain artificial flavors, colorings, and emulsifiers, all of which increase systemic inflammation, the silent, invisible fire behind every heart attack, stroke, and case of arterial plaque. Let me share the story of Mr. Glenn MacArthur, a 75-year-old Navy veteran from Kentucky, who came into my clinic complaining of swelling in his feet, fatigue, and a pounding heart after meals. His labs revealed elevated triglycerides, borderline blood pressure, and worsening A1C levels despite no significant change in his medication or diet, or so he thought. When we reviewed his eating habits, he proudly said, "I've cut back on sweets, doc. No more cookies or soda, just chocolate milk when I want something sweet. 1 or 2 glasses a day, that's it." That small treat was delivering nearly 50 grams of sugar a day, along with additives that were increasing his water retention and blood pressure. His heart wasn't getting stronger. It was quietly becoming overwhelmed. We immediately eliminated the flavored milks, replaced them with unsweetened almond milk and a few berries if he wanted flavor, and within weeks, his energy returned, his swelling reduced, and his numbers began to improve. At his next visit, he looked me in the eye and said, "I never knew something that tasted so innocent could mess me up so bad." That's the danger. Familiarity feels safe. A little sugar here, a little flavor there. But your aging heart doesn't recognize comfort in it only reacts to chemistry. Every glass of flavored milk is a hit of glucose and inflammation that your body has to fight off. And at 70 or 80, your defenses just aren't what they used to be. That warm memory of childhood, it may now be writing a dangerous future, one glass at a time. So if you've been sipping flavored milks, thinking it's just a small indulgence, it may be the very reason your blood pressure is rising, your heartbeat is unsteady, or your legs feel heavier than they should. But flavored milk isn't the only wolf in sheep's clothing. There's one more, a so-called heart-healthy dairy product that many seniors still believe is essential,
but it may actually be flooding your body with saturated fats, hormones, and inflammatory agents every single day. In the next section, I'll reveal why whole milk, yes, even the organic kind, might be doing your heart far more harm than good. You won't want to miss this.
9. Whole milk, the creamy comfort that may be clogging your arteries every morning. There's something deeply American about a cold glass of whole milk. It's what many of us were raised on, poured over cereal, served with dinner, or sipped straight from the glass. For older adults, whole milk often feels like a return to something pure, nourishing, and safe. It's even marketed as natural, wholesome, or organic. But if you're over 60, I want you to listen carefully. That creamy glass may be slowly hardening your arteries, fueling silent inflammation, and increasing your risk of heart disease more than you realize. You see, whole milk contains a high level of saturated fats, around 5 grams per cup. And while fat isn't inherently bad, saturated fat in excess, especially in the aging body, is a major contributor to LDL cholesterol buildup. That's the bad cholesterol, the sticky, heavy kind that settles into your artery walls, reducing blood flow and laying the foundation for atherosclerosis, heart attacks, and strokes. The issue isn't just the fat. It's what that fat does inside a body that's already more vulnerable. After age 60, your arteries lose flexibility. Your metabolism slows. Your hormonal balance shifts, making it harder to process excess cholesterol and fat. Even if your weight is normal, and even if you're active, your heart may still be under attack, silently, with every cup of whole milk you drink. I'll never forget Mr. Howard Stein, a 79-year-old retired pharmacist from Missouri who came into my office after experiencing shortness of breath on his daily walks. He wasn't overweight. He didn't eat fried food. His diet was what many would call clean. But his cholesterol was elevated, and a cardiac calcium scan revealed significant plaque buildup in his coronary arteries. When I asked about his dairy intake, he proudly said, "Only the good stuff, whole milk, organic, none of that processed junk." He was drinking 2 glasses a day, with cereal in the morning and again before bed. That may not sound like much, but it was quietly adding over 70 grams of saturated fat per week to his system, enough to gradually thicken his blood vessels and raise his cardiovascular risk. We switched him to a heart-friendly milk alternative, adjusted his nutrition to include more fiber and plant fats, and within 6 months, his cholesterol dropped and his breathing improved. At his follow-up, he looked at me and said, "Doc, I thought I was drinking health. Turns out I was sipping danger." And here's another layer. Even organic or pasture-raised whole milk still contains natural hormones from the cow, including estrogens and insulin-like growth factors, which may contribute to inflammation, weight gain, and insulin resistance, especially in older adults. Your body doesn't process these compounds the same way it used to. What was once harmless can now be a trigger for metabolic stress. So if you've been drinking whole milk because it feels real or natural, understand this. Your heart doesn't feel comfort. It feels cholesterol, pressure, and inflammation. That glass may be creamy, but the consequences can be crushing. Now, the question you've been waiting to ask, and it's the most important one. If I need to stop drinking all these kinds of milk, then what kind of milk should I be drinking at my age? Stay with me, because in the next section, I'll walk you through the best milks for seniors, the ones that nourish your body without straining your heart, kidneys, or blood vessels. You don't need to give up milk, you just need to choose wisely. Let's talk about that next.
10. So, what kind of milk should seniors be drinking to protect their heart? After hearing all the hidden dangers in the milks many of us have trusted for decades, it's natural to feel frustrated, maybe even betrayed. You've spent a lifetime doing what you believed was right, pouring milk into your cereal, drinking a glass for strong bones, trusting those familiar cartons in your fridge. But now, after 60, your body isn't the same. Your heart is more sensitive, your kidneys more fragile, and your tolerance for inflammation, sugar, and saturated fat is far lower than it used to be. So the question becomes, what kind of milk can you trust now? The good news is you don't have to give up milk entirely. You just have to make smarter, heart-conscious choices that match your body's needs at this stage of life. What you're looking for is a milk that is low in saturated fat, low in added sugars, free from harmful additives, and ideally fortified with the right nutrients, ones that actually help protect your heart, not hurt it. In my 30 years treating older adults, I often recommend unsweetened plant-based milks like unsweetened almond milk, hemp milk, or oat milk, gluten-free if sensitive, especially those fortified with calcium, vitamin D, and vitamin B12, but not overloaded with added sugars or emulsifiers. These milks typically contain less than 2 grams of fat per serving, and many offer heart-supportive nutrients while being much easier on the digestive system. Almond milk, in particular, contains natural antioxidants like vitamin E, which helps reduce oxidative stress in blood vessels. Let me tell you about Mrs. Lorraine Chambers, an 81-year-old widow from Oregon who came to me feeling tired, bloated, and overwhelmed by her rising blood pressure. She had always been proud of her diet, which included daily glasses of milk like Mom taught me. But her labs showed high LDL cholesterol and inflammation markers creeping up. After reviewing her diet, I gently explained that her full-fat dairy may no longer be serving her aging heart. At first, she resisted. But doctor, it's natural. It's real milk. Still, she trusted me, and we switched her to an unsweetened almond milk fortified with calcium and D3. We paired it with a balanced Mediterranean-style diet, reduced her sodium intake, and monitored her progress. Within 8 weeks, her blood pressure stabilized, her cholesterol improved. Most of all, she felt lighter in body and spirit. I never thought I'd like nut milk, she said with a smile, but it turns out my heart likes it more than I do. And here's something important. You don't need to overdo even the good milks. Just 4 to 6 ounces with breakfast or in your coffee is plenty. Seniors often underestimate the power of small, consistent choices. A little can go a long way, especially when you're no longer trying to eat like a 30-year-old. You're trying to protect a heart that's worked for decades. So next time you shop, skip the carton that promises nostalgia or comfort. Reach instead for the one that offers balance, safety, and true nourishment, not for who you were, but for who you are now. But milk is only one piece of this puzzle. In the final section, I want to leave you with a simple but powerful reflection. What does your heart still need from you? Not just at the table, but in the way you live, move, and care for yourself. Let's close with the truth that brings all of this together and gives your next heartbeat the strength and peace it deserves.
What your heart needs most, a legacy of care, not just survival. After everything we've just explored, the hidden dangers in everyday milks, the surprising traps in flavored or heart-healthy choices, the way even a small glass can throw your medications or metabolism off balance, it's time to pause and ask a deeper question. Because this isn't just about milk. It never was. This is about your heart, the one that has beaten more than 2 billion times since the day you were born. It's carried you through childhood, careers, raising families, saying goodbye to friends, and greeting grandchildren. It's survived stress, joy, pain, and change. And now, in your 60s, 70s, or even 80s, it's still showing up for you, quietly, faithfully, even as it gets tired. So let me ask you, what are you doing for your heart now? in return. Because here's the truth I've learned from decades of treating seniors. You can't care for your heart the same way you did at 40 or 50. You can't assume the foods you grew up on still serve your body well. You can't believe every product on a grocery shelf with a green label is safe. You can't ignore the quiet signals, the fatigue, the swelling, the skipped beats, the just not feeling right. At this age, your margin for error is smaller. Your decisions carry more weight. But that doesn't mean you should live in fear. It means you should live with intention, with wisdom, with the kind of care that only someone who's walked this far in life can truly understand. The goal isn't to be perfect. The goal is to be aware, to stay in relationship with your body, and to protect the heart that has protected you for a lifetime. You may be wondering, why didn't anyone tell me this before? And believe me, you're not alone. I've had hundreds of patients just like you, good people, responsible, thoughtful, who were never warned that milk could interfere with their heart medications, that hidden sugars in healthy drinks could push them toward a stroke, or that saturated fats could turn comfort into cardiac risk. You deserve better. You deserve the truth. And the truth is this: every bite matters now. Every glass, every label. But that's not meant to scare you. It's meant to empower you. Because with even small changes, your body can still heal. Your heart can still strengthen. Your energy can return. Your confidence can grow. I've seen it happen. I've watched once tired men in their 70s walk farther than they had in years after adjusting their diet. I've seen women in their 80s lower their blood pressure and reduce medication just by understanding their food better. And it starts with awareness, with refusing to let routine habits go unchecked, with making each meal an act of self-respect, not just survival. So, what does your heart need now? It needs consistency, not fad diets or extremes. It needs hydration, not sugary substitutes in disguise. It needs nourishment, not nostalgia. It needs movement, even gentle, every day. It needs connection, because loneliness weighs heavier on the heart than cholesterol ever could. It needs forgiveness, because stress and regret are silent poisons. And most of all, it needs you to listen, not just when something feels wrong, but even when things feel okay, because your body whispers before it screams. You're not too old to make a change. You're not too late. Every new heartbeat is a chance to do better, feel better, and live longer with dignity, clarity, and strength. So if you've watched this far, take it as a sign, a moment of truth, maybe the most important one of your year. Look in your fridge, look in your pantry, look in your habits, and ask, is this helping my heart or silently hurting it? You've come so far. Don't stop now. Your best years may not be behind you. They may just be waiting on the other side of a smarter choice. One glass at a time. Let your next choice and your next heartbeat come from wisdom, not fear. From strength, not routine. And from a place of deep respect for the life your heart still wants to live. You've earned that. Let's live like it. These lessons are meant to inspire you to live fully and authentically. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Take a moment to reflect and share one thing you've learned and plan to apply in your own life. Let's support each other on this journey toward embracing these truths. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment with Marwan. If not, feel free to comment with C0. Your feedback means a lot to us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content like this. Thank you for watching, and here's to living life on your own terms.